seconds on the live, starting now.
Okay.
Get ready for your next adventure. Longer days, warmer water, and brighter skies. There's no better time to hit the water and chase a little coastal magic. Whether you're booking a fishing charter, a sunset cruise, or just want to float and breathe, Coastal Marsh has got your summer adventure waiting. Departing daily from Little River, contact Captain Chris today at 304-807-7577 or book via email at chris@coastalmarshcharters.com. Let's make this summer one for the books.
Folks, welcome to another episode of On the Limb Podcast with Nature's Voice Game Calls, where deer camp becomes a reality for every listener. Join us as we talk God, family, country, and everything outdoors. Kick back, relax, and have a listen. Now, here's your host and co-host, Mike and Dan.
Well, welcome back, everyone. We've got Bugsy.
Folks, welcome to another episode of...
I don't know why that started again. Let's start over with that. So, welcome back, everyone. You can tell I'm in the studio by myself. I've got Bugsy on here with me this evening. So, man, the mornings here in West Virginia has been great for fishing, but it's been hot. So, I tell you, we've been out doing a little fishing on the weekends, and me and a buddy of mine the other day, we noticed that there's a couple things we need to talk about when it comes to fishing etiquette. So, we have... Bugsy Graybill on this evening with Bugsy Baits USA, and he's going to tell us about some of that stuff here in a little bit. Show season's coming up at the end of the summer, so if you're looking for presenters for your show, Bugsy and his team does a great job. So they do a very professional job speaking and teaching youth on how to cast and do it correctly. And if you want them, you can get a hold of him. He'll give you some information here at the end.
Cool.
So,
thank you, Michael.
Yes. Bugsy, so how you doing this evening, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. Been very, very busy, hectic schedule. The weather's been great. A little bit of rain here and there. Cooler temperatures in the morning up here in Michigan. It's 88 degrees right now. I'm sitting here at a car show on my Corvette going live with you, Michael.
Hey,
excited.
I love it. That's awesome. See, y'all had a big day there, didn't you, today in Michigan?
Yeah, had a corporate family picnic at the Chrysler Stellantis World Headquarters where I work. We had about 8,600 people at the picnic, about 343 cars in the car show, and I got to do a little bit of hosting with some of my car show buddies. So it's been a big day, and come to another car show as soon as I left there, Michael.
That's awesome. Yep, good deal. You love those Corvettes, don't you?
Oh, man. So don't get me going.
Yeah, he's like, I can talk just as much with Corvettes as I can fishing, can't you?
Well, this is honest to God. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Corvettes right in front of me here. So.
Man, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
you have to roll down the window so everybody can hear what's going on.
Yeah, I got a DJ behind me blaring music, so I had to roll the windows up so I can make it quiet in here. Oh, everybody's wondering why I'm sitting in my car by myself.
I hear you. All right, so let me tell you guys about some of our sponsors real quick. AquaCase, you can get them at aquacase.net. Use promo code podcast15 at checkout for 15% off of your order. They are your waterproof case and bag experts. Also, be sure to check us out on all of our past episodes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget about Podcast 10 at checkout at outdoor-pro-shop.com. 10% off of your order at checkout there. So, Bugsy, we're going to talk fishing etiquette this evening. Let's start with respecting your space in the waters.
Yeah, you know what? We can cover this from two ways. I sitting here was taking some notes prior to getting on here live with you, and there's two angles to look at this etiquette, and one is basically being a leisure angler, amateur angler, or a pro tournament angler, right? Because sometimes when you're on a spot and you're trying to win money, guys don't want to get off the spot.
No.
But if you're a leisure amateur angler, let's share the honey hole. But going a little bit deeper to that right out of the gate, Michael, I want to talk a little bit about ego, okay? And in my opinion, an ego has no place on the water or fishing around others. Leave it at home. It doesn't belong, because if you have that ego, you're not going to share that space. You're not going to communicate well, and you might block people from getting in on a spot. You might stay there too long, and you're probably not aware of the environment, and you probably are not going to respect other people's properties. But moving forward to that, let's just talk a little bit about, respecting space and water. Okay, let's talk about it from an amateur leisure angle to start with. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's just do it right out of the gate. Launching the boat at the boat launch. Okay,
Yeah.
You're the first guy there.
Yep.
Okay. Don't hog the parking space after you park your rig. Okay. Don't leave your boat tied up at the dock where another angler can't get in there right away. Have your stuff together the night before. When you go down to the ramp, Michael, you want to have your rods ready, your lines tied. You want to have your ropes out. You want to have, if your engine needs any kind of maintenance or checks or whatever, let's do that the night before. So when we get down to the lake, you want to get that boat in the water, get it fired up, and get out on the water and get out of everybody's way.
Yeah.
And one of my pet peeves, and I don't mean to sound like a jerk by saying this.
I think I know what it is.
Well, when you go to the boat launch, turn your headlights off when you're backing down the boat ramp.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
That just teased me off, Michael. I ain't going to use the other word, but
well, there's another one that I wanted to mention too. Somebody, like, if you're backing into the area there, the launch, and I love it when people just back right down the middle of it.
Oh yeah. I try to run my boat when I do launch, and I have a bigger boat. But if I'm launching somebody's bass boat, I try to keep it 6 to 8 inches off the dock. Got the lines ready, and if you're by yourself, ask somebody else to help you if somebody's there. You know what? And if you're by yourself, I don't recommend fishing by yourself anymore, Michael. As we get older, it's a safety thing too.
Oh yeah.
But
definitely.
you know what? Use the space wisely. Okay. And if you can get another boat on the other side, like you said, don't run it down the middle.
Yeah.
Divide it in the equal parts, and that's basically like being aware of your surroundings and situations. And you know what? If there's an older gentleman there, I'm going to help him launch his boat. Okay, I'm going to help him get his ropes out. You don't even have to ask me. I'm going to be over at your boat helping you. That's just the kind of guy I am. I'm going to give up 15, 20 minutes of my fishing time to help somebody else out, because you know what? I probably can educate them, or they might educate me too by having that interaction. And sometimes you want to limit that interaction with that person too, because they want to get out there and catch those, pre-daylight fish or at daylight fish,
Oh yeah.
When the dawn pops up, you want to be ready to go. And if you have to go park your truck, make sure you park your boat and your trailer straight. Don't hog the spaces.
Take up 2 spaces.
Go ahead.
Take up 2 spaces in there.
Yeah. And if the parking lot is full, don't park on the grass where they don't want you parking. Be respectful. Don't put your truck and trailer half on the road either. And just being aware of your surroundings and doing the right thing and being respectful. And that goes back to the ego thing. You're no better than anybody else. I'm no better than anybody else. And we want to keep this great sport alive, all these things we get to go do in the outdoors. And when you do things that tick other people off, they're not going to want to help you, Michael. So,
No.
You want to be that guy that goes there and you're super friendly, super nice, and you're willing to help.
So let's talk about avoid crowding. So this not only is on the banks as well. There's a lot of people that fish banks, but we're kind of primarily focusing on boating here, but it's all comes together. So avoid crowding the space of others, and this comes together like, we're calling this fishing etiquette, but it's really sportsman etiquette. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, like, if you're fishing in an area, don't crowd that person. Don't come into his space where he's trying to fish. He's got that for now. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, if you see someone already on a spot and you caught fish there previously, if you're in the tournament, I suggest maybe wait your turn, maybe make a motion and ask the angler if you can come in on them.
Yeah.
And if you're just leisure fishing, you know what? Go find another spot. I'm sure you don't just have one honey hole on the lake. Right?
Oh yeah. Or the river.
Or the river if you're wading.
Yeah.
You don't want to splash around the guy next to you. You don't want to scare his fish because you can't get on your spot. But that all falls back to ego. I can almost link every one of these topics that I made to an ego, right? And like I said, leave it at home. There's no place for it on the water. There's no place for it at the ramp. There's no place for it when you come off the water, and when you pull the boat out, you want to get out of the way. But as far as like wading, you're talking about being in a stream, if there's someone with a younger kid there, make space for them.
Yeah.
And they're going to really appreciate that. And I like to watch a youth angler catch fish. To me, that's one of the greatest things is handing down information and watching the youth grow. It's not always just about us catching fish, Michael, as we get older. It's about seeing other people catch fish, and handing down a tradition, right?
Yes.
And I know you've had that from your family. You have your turkey call business. You had your brother in there and you lost him, and you told me that whole story back over Thanksgiving, and that was really heartfelt. And I know you do a lot of this stuff you do in the outdoors, not just because you love it, but just because your grandparents, your dad did it, and because your brother did it. Okay. Yes. And you sort of made an unwritten promise to your brother, you're going to carry his tradition and what he wanted out, through your life and the things that you do. And you always remember him and hang on to him for those good family times.
Oh,
and,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And if you want to touch on that a little bit, go ahead. And your brother, I'm sure he was very etiquette like you are. And I'm going to speak out for you. You're very etiquette no matter where you go, Michael, what you do. And, you always try to over deliver and do great things. And your kids show that, and like I said, you got to apply those tactics and feelings. And like I said, don't have that ego when you're on the water.
Yeah.
Now you just went fishing recently. Were you guys fishing from the boat? I saw some posts that you had up last week.
Yeah, to tell you a story from that. So there's a tournament here about every weekend in West Virginia, either on the river or at a lake. And most of the time it's on the river. They put in at different dock areas. So if you're just a weekend warrior like we are, and you're out there trying to get on the water, you're having to maybe bounce around to different docks to try to get in because it's packed. And that's fine. I love it. I love everybody being out there. I love the tournaments. I love people, getting out and getting that stuff out of there. But I was out there and I was like, this topic came up to me and a buddy of mine that I was fishing with there on his boat, his brand new boat that he just got. And so we're fishing this spot up the river, and 2 times this happened in one day. So this has got to be this is an issue. So we're sitting there, we're fishing, we're getting ready to come up to on an inlet area where we're going to go into this creek, an outflow where it comes into the Canal River.
Yep.
And we have this boat, like he just flies in like Batman. I mean, like, whoa, right in front of us. I mean, I'm talking 25 to 50 yards in front of us. No courtesy on the wake, nothing. He comes in, pulls out his trolling motor, drops it real fast, and we're like, hey, we were getting ready to hit that inlet right there. And he's like, oh, you guys going up there too? He gone. He goes right in. So that was the first instance. So we finally ended up getting back in there. We didn't know where he went. And we didn't even know that this area opened up this big once we got back into this backwater area. And this is obviously a big place for these tournament guys. And so we're in there fishing. We'd done fished our way around, and we're coming back up to where we cross under this railroad bridge. And I was like, so here's another boat coming in, and we're sitting there, and we're casting on the points of this little area where this bridge is, and this guy comes right through, and he's like, hey, how you doing? We're doing good. How you doing? And he just come through like where we're casting, and he said, "Are you guys just fishing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're fishing." I mean, isn't that what you're doing? But he was a tournament. Yeah. He was a tournament guy. So I'm like,
right.
And that statement didn't set well with me because I'm like, if we're not in a tournament, are we not considered to be fishing?
Right. Well, you know what? I'm going to touch down on one of my topics. One of them down there, it says, I'm down the list. It says, don't be a fishing hole hog or the guy that says, that's my spot. Okay. In his mind, he'd already done that. As soon as he saw you, he had that mental capacity that, he's in a tournament and he probably knows you're not, and he's going to go in there and fish no matter what.
Yep.
And he's basically saying, that's my spot and you shouldn't interfere with my tournament. Well, being a tournament guy, he needs to be a little bit more mature and a little bit more giving and say, you know what? This guy's in there fishing. I know he's not in the tournament. I'm gonna hang out over here on this wing dam or whatever and throw a couple of casts. And maybe when he gets out of my way, I'll go up in there. That's really the way that should play out.
You would
you
think
see
so.
this a lot.
And I figured that you would see this a lot, especially on bigger rivers. I just started back fishing with my buddy since he bought this new boat. Normally I don't have much time on the weekends, but I'm trying to make the time to do it just to get out and, relieve some stress and different things like that. Because as you get older, you got to do things to get that stress out. Stress is not good for you. Outdoors, fishing, anything like that with me is like a spa. So I've said that several times. I'll be out there wading in the water. I'll be on the boat fishing. I'll be in a tree stand. I'll be on the ground hunting. It doesn't matter. Or just hiking. I mean, that's a stress reliever for me. So that's what we're doing. Me and my buddy, we're just out there after working all week. We're out there letting off some steam and trying to be weekend warriors fishing. But
well, let me ask you this real quick. Isn't it amazing and a true thing that the second or the millisecond or the moment that you feel a fish tug on into that rod, you forget about everything else in the world?
Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, it is amazing. And it doesn't matter. Me and my buddy, he said, I think that's number 4 for me today. And I said, are we counting? I was just playing with him. And he was like, no, we're not counting. But he was like, you know how it is. He was like, we got to know what the total number is on the boat.
Yeah, exactly. Be a little competitive there, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you got to be a little competitive every now and then. But, we have a great time out there. And it doesn't matter the size of fish. I was telling him while we were on the boat, and of course, the camaraderie of just being together and buddies out there talking about different stories and things like that, and just life. I told him, I said, I remember back when my son, because my son's 18 now, he's getting older, so he's kind of like, he's getting ready to go to college, so he's got other things he's doing. And I said, I remember me and my son out there at Ridenour Lake, one of the lakes here locally, and we would go around that lake from, 5 o'clock in the evening till dark, fishing for bluegill, and we'd be in a little contest. So, we'd be fishing with little midges or whatever, trying to get bluegill just to hit so we could catch fish because we loved catching fish.
Yeah,
and it's just amazing.
That's awesome.
All right, Bugs, we're going to take a break real quick, hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back talking about more fishing etiquette. Are you ready to preserve that memorable hunt? The award-winning Johnson's Wildlife Taxidermy Studio has the gift of craftsmanship by God in preserving nature's legacy. Johnson's Wildlife Taxidermy is a full-service wildlife taxidermist located in Philippi, West Virginia, serving Barber County, West Virginia, and all surrounding areas. Can't make the drive to the studio? They take shipments as well. Contact Johnson's Wildlife Taxidermy Studio today at 304-266-5380. The award-winning Johnson's Taxidermy Studio, 304-266-5380. God's the ultimate craftsman, and we are just participating in his creative work. All right, guys, we're back with Bugsy Graybill talking about fishing etiquette. That's we aired 2 of our newest ad partners this evening. Coastal Marsh Adventures, based out of Little River, Myrtle Beach area, there in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And Johnson's Wildlife Taxidermy Studio, based out of Philippi, West Virginia. And they serve Barber County and all the surrounding areas. So if you need any taxidermy work up in that area or in the state of West Virginia or even around the East Coast, they have people send him stuff through the mail all the time. So he is booked up right now. Bugs, let me go ahead and hit our salute to valor this evening, and we'll get back into some fishing etiquette. So our salute to valor this evening is Russell Fenton. He served in the U.S. Army. He was special 4E4 MOS was 11B20, arrived in Vietnam on September 1st, 1969 to August 21st, 1970. And he served in Can Ram Bay and, Hip Duke Valley, carried the M60 machine gun and light infantry weapons for Quad B, Company 4th of the 31st 196 Light Infantry Battalion. His medals was Good Army Conduct Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, and 4 Bronze Stars. Combat Infantry Badge, CIB Marksman Badge with Rifle and Machine Gun Bar, Vietnam Gallantry Cross, Unit Citation with Palm Device, and his hometown was Carthage, Missouri. So we thank you, Mr. Fenton, for your service, and God bless you, sir. All right, Bugs, back to fishing etiquette. So what are we hitting next here?
Yeah, that's awesome. You do that for the military people there. I know you did one there with my buddy Larry Billings. That was a Marine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you did that a couple months ago. He was real excited to do that for you. So I appreciate you, man. You make me proud down there, Michael. You know.
Well, we try, Bugsy. We sure love dealing with you, and I'm glad that we crossed paths there in Charleston, and we've become friends and family.
Yeah, we were just doing a salute here at the car show at the same time you did that. I was just thinking, man, this is just all lined up at the same time here.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. But anyway, back to your fishing deal there on that little wing dam you're fishing there.
Yep.
Now, the rest of the story now is that angler went up in that spot. What was his next move after he went up there and either caught fish or didn't? What did he do after that, Michael, that was either good or bad? Can we talk a little bit more in depth about what went on there?
Yeah, so you want to hear something funny. So we're coming in off of this little point at that little bridge, and we're, that bridge crossing, the underway there. And we're fishing the left side of it. And he comes he comes through the center of it. He goes to the right, which would be his left. He goes to his left and starts working all the way around the edge of that little backwater area. So we fished that point and continued to go on, and we kind of we were in that area for a bit because there was a lot of structure, a lot of down timber on that point right there. So we stayed there for probably 30, 45 minutes and fished that area, probably caught 3 or 4 fish after he had went by.
Wow.
And so we see him go up. He kind of disappears, gets around a point, and then comes back off and back in. And the other guy that came in first, he had come back out and left. He's gone. He hadn't. We didn't see him catch a fish. And these other 2 guys that were fishing, they kind of shadowed us the whole time that we were in this little backwater area. So,
really?
Yeah.
They
was
knew
funny.
You knew what you were doing.
Yeah. It was funny. They seen us catch a fish because, you don't see very many of the tournament guys hoop and holler and yell, because they're more into just getting it in the boat and see if it's ready for size and keep going. But not to say they don't have a good time. They have an awesome time. But
you guys were hooping it up, huh?
Oh, we're hooping and hollering when we get one. Oh, John, I got one. It's a good one. Get the net. We're all in it. And
well, you know what they call that? They call that rubbing it in. On the other boat. The other boat.
Yeah, we were definitely rubbing it in that day. Not by not meaning push and pun or whatever, but
yeah. So the takeaway from that is, sometimes don't get too excited when they do run up on you and kind of push you away because, sometimes they don't catch their fish or they'll catch 1 or 2 and move on. And then you can go in behind them and even catch more fish than they did or bigger ones. And you know what? And if any of their buddies that are in a tournament are, in behind you, they're going to see you catch fish and they're going to talk about that on the, at the weigh-in. They're going to be like, did you see that guy to come in behind me? He caught him good down there. We got to go back down there tomorrow.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I mean, it's just, we didn't get back at the guys or anything like that. We try to be the upstanding person there and not do anything. But it's just, it really gets in your craw sometimes when some people do that. It takes a lot because my buddy, he was wanting to, he was pretty pissed. He's running he's running the trolling motor, and this is his boat. And I'm like, yeah, we just, it's not going to help us any. You know what I mean? I mean, I've seen people out there get in fights on boats and scream and holler and cuss and yell. And, we could have been a-holes too, but somebody's got to be the better person in the issue,
Yeah. And on one of my topics on there, keep noise levels down, but, celebrating a fish catch, moment is something pretty awesome. But, making unnecessary noise around the boats or whatever that might scare the fish, some of the guys, they will take offense to that. But, going back to that, do not block others, which is kind of what they felt. They kind of perceived like you were doing that to them, but in reality, they kind of went in on top of you.
Yeah.
And you kind of took a stance back, like, you might be blocking me now, but when you move off that spot, I'm coming up in there. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be the upstanding guy, like you said, and I'm going to come out smelling clean, right?
Yep, that's
you know,
right.
And
you
that's
know,
a good way to be.
That morning, with what happened that morning, we had some things go wrong with the boat that morning. And it just wasn't a good morning to start out. So we thought, oh my God, here we go. This is going to be one of those days where you have the issues. You get out there on the boat and you just throw everything you can and nothing wants to hit. So for about an hour, hour to hour and a half, we were on the water at 6 o'clock. We beat these guys to these points and these areas. About 6:15, 6:30, they started rolling in, A couple of them passed by. Yeah. And then they turn around and come back, and so we thought it was going to be a bad day, but it eventually, after those two incidents, we had already caught some fish, but 2 or 3 fish, and it just started mounting after that because it was just like the day started getting better.
Yeah, fun day. That's a fun day, man.
So
I'm glad you guys had a good time.
Communicate intentions. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, if you're trying to go upriver or pass somebody wading or in the boat or whatever, and it's a tight little stream, you might, just kind of get their attention and kind of wave, like, and maybe kind of throw your hand in the air, kind of maybe asking, if it's okay to pass them up or move in closer to them, and being the guy you are, I could see you saying, you know what, come in a little closer, it won't bother me, right? And some guys, you can be 100 yards from them, and they're getting upset at you. And, and when you see that, you probably want to stay away from that guy.
Yeah.
And communicating is always good no matter what you do. And once again, that goes back to that ego thing I was talking about. Leave it at home. You know what? Be inviting. Talk to people, I'm probably the guy I'm fishing next to. I'm going to be clapping when I see you catch a fish too, So.
Yeah, that's me. I get excited for other people as well, especially when you got youth out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I had one topic on here, environment. I want to touch on this for a few minutes here.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I couldn't get Rob on here, Rob Cherapika. He's one of my pro staff guys, and Rob fishes amateur tournaments, and he just fishes any lake he can. He does a lot of social media, but the one thing that Rob does, and we talk about this in the seminars, is Rob will take 1 or 2 buckets with him in his vehicle. When he's done fishing, Michael, he leaves the environment cleaner than it was when he got there.
That's awesome.
He'll pick up trash, 1 or 2 buckets. And there's not many people out there that do this, And I asked him, I think it was either on the podcast or maybe it was on stage at Charleston, what is the biggest thing that you picked up and took them through away? And it was a tire.
Yeah, tire. Yeah.
Why? I don't understand sometimes why and how tires are in lakes or rivers. Well, it's not a dumping ground out there.
No, it's not. And for a long time here in West Virginia, it was like that. I think, it was just like tire heaven in some of these places over the banks when you're hunting, or appliances and stuff like that. But
right. And the next topic on there, Michael says, leave no trace. I wrote down.
Yep.
Don't leave trash. Don't leave, worm containers. Don't leave your fishing line on the dock. If you strip it off,
Yep.
If you have to cut it off, if it wraps around your prop, cut it off when you get, whatever you have to, basically.
Yep.
You know what? Put it in a trash bag and throw it away. Don't throw it back in the water for somebody else to pick it up.
Definitely not.
Like I said, leave no trace, and if you see some trash around the boat ramp, pick it up too,
Yep.
And sometimes you're driving down the road after you leave the lake and you see stuff flying out of people's boats. Check your boat before you leave the ramp to see if there's anything going to fly out of it that might be considered trash, or, you might lose your cap, tackle, or whatever, and you don't want to really lose any of that stuff. So just make sure you get all your personal belongings. And it's just doing visual checks, and
and that's one thing we do when we're getting ready to head back to the dock is we make sure all of our trash, because while you're fishing, you're taking that trash and you're just throwing it down into the bottom of the boat,
Oh yeah.
And it's all right down there in the center of the boat. You got your Gatorade bottles and you got your water bottles and your Slim Jim wrappers and all that stuff. But we pick all that stuff up, put it in a bag, tie it up, make sure it's not flying out when we're heading back 45 mile an hour on the boat.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about some of these other topics on here in, so many of the streams and stuff down there where you guys fish or get opportunity to fish or wade or whatever. The name that comes to mind with me right now is John Hockaday, and when you're fishing some of these streams, you got to respect other people's property boundaries, because some of these states and some of these rules, you can't actually fish, the river or the stream in front of the property, or you can't even step on the bank, right? So know your property boundaries. There's some apps and stuff out there if you really want to get into detail about where the property boundaries are, and just like the hunting apps, you can use them just for that as well, because it's going to show all their property lines. And and definitely don't throw none of that trash on somebody else's property just because you don't want to take it back with you. If you brought it out there, take it back with you. And if there's a property owner out there, maybe have a conversation with them, and tell them you're not going to be on his property, or ask him if you can have permission to fish in front of his property, or maybe even wade the bank. He might actually let you if you ask him, and that's sort of a sore subject with a lot of property owners, I don't know if you had any experience with private property fishing or wading or,
Yeah, I have in up north, Pocahontas County, certain areas like that, with stream access and stuff like that. I mean, most people up in that area are pretty lenient about it. They know that you have plenty of fishermen coming through, but always just be mindful of that area and check with them. If you see them out, be like, even if it's an area you've been before and nobody's ever said anything. If you see a property owner out, just say, hey, how you doing? We're just fishing today here on the stream that you care for in your backyard or whatever.
Yeah, and then like I said, and that goes along with that communication that we were just talking about as well. Just being nice and crushing down that ego and asking and being polite to go a long way with you when you're in the outdoors, whether it's fishing or hunting. And some of these streams they're just beautiful, and we want to maintain our relationships with the property owners, and we got to, as an amateur or professional angler, we got to take every step we can to maintain our good relationships or build new ones, whether it's on a lake or a river, Michael. And I think you and I do that very well with fellow vendors at these trade shows and stuff. We have the ability and know how to do that when we're out in the outdoors, and I mean, I get my knees jerked sometimes by my buddies because I talk to people at a gas station. He says, you don't always got to make a friend at a gas station. Well, you know what? Sometimes when you go into public, you need to make friends, and you build these relationships. And a person might have this stream that they say, hey, I want you to come and fish on it, because I like you, or you seem like you're very respectful, and you want to take that to the next level where someone invites you, right?
Yeah.
Under their private property. And then that's an opportunity where you have to step up your game for being respectful and knowing, their property boundaries and respecting the environment. And once again, communicating your intentions and respecting their space and the water space, right? And you don't want to invite 12 other friends when you get this opportunity and overcrowd their fishing hole too, their honey hole, if you get that opportunity, right? So there's a lot of things that go into balancing your own behaviors in these lakes and streams where, opportunities will arise, and you don't want to kill opportunities. When you piss somebody off, they're not going to invite you back, Michael.
Nope. They won't, that's for sure.
They won't do that. And I know yourself and your family, you guys respect people's property. I'd love to have you up fishing on my boat sometime on Lake Michigan. I think that'd be a treat,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that would be awesome.
If you come, I'll even buy your fishing license, Michael.
I hear you.
Yeah. And I'll even bring the baits.
You'll even bring the bait. I hear you. What about the snacks?
Yeah. You know what? I'll let you go to Dollar Tree and get the snacks.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I like.
We like the Dollar Tree, don't we? We've had conversations there.
We love the Dollar Tree. But, once again, if you are in a spot like that, wading or trying to get up in the stream or wing dam or something like that, and you're an amateur angler, just leisure fishing, don't hog that spot or overfish it. There's a lot of good places, and but like I said earlier, nothing like getting a fish on the end of the rod, and it's a great thing we get to do, Michael, and we're very blessed to be able to get out and do that.
Yep.
And this fishing etiquette, it goes a long ways. Some people like myself and yourself, it comes natural.
Yes.
In
where you're just raised in it. You know what I mean? Some
people
don't.
We were raised in it.
Some people don't get into the outdoor and the sportsman's camaraderie until they're at an older age, and they haven't had that upbringing. So I can understand that people do that, but sometimes you just need to remind people, hey, this is how this should be done, and you should be polite about it. So, Bugsy, it's been a great time this evening. I sure appreciate your time there. I know you took time out of your little event that you was doing there to be with us, but it's always a pleasure having you on.
Okay, Michael, thanks for having me on. We'll talk to you later, and have a good evening.
Okay, Bugs, thank you. You do the same.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right, guys,
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening this evening. Thanks for watching the live. All of our links that we have will be in our description when this episode airs. Folks, remember to check out naturesvoicegamecalls.com and use podcast 15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order. And we know you're going to be on the water this summer, just like we were talking in this episode. So check out woodbaitcountry.com and use On the Limb promo code for 10% off of your order. Cliff Pace, Bassmaster Champion, custom handmade balsa baits. They are some really good handmade baits. So, like I said, be sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great evening, everyone.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Trout Routes. Trout Routes is a premier fishing app that strives to empower trout anglers with information to help you go further and discover new waters, new places, and new faces. Check them out at troutroutes.com. Trout Routes is proud to be able to connect you to local resources and experts, such as fly shops, guides, local brands, and nonprofits. Be sure to check them out at troutroutes.com or the Apple App Store and Google Play Store to download the app today.